Okay, hi everyone. We're back for episode 4, and as usual, I have Brittany with me. And so today we'll be talking about sexuality within K-pop, specifically looking at LGBTQIA plus, um, focusing on gay men. So, Brittany, would you like to start it off, or okay? Well, she's kind of pointing at me. So, all right. So, sexuality is quite an interesting topic within K-pop because in the Western world, a lot of K-pop fans within Western world or come from Western nations are quite impressed with K-pop, in a sense that when it comes to things like dressing and self-expression, K-pop kind of offers an alternative way of looking at masculinity, for example. So you'll find that K-pop idols have long hair, they wear makeup, they are more in tune with their feelings. They don't necessarily promote this whole macho man type of look. And there's also like things like skinship within K-pop. So men would like basically touch each other on their thighs or like squeeze each other's buttocks. But it's not necessarily them being gay, but it's more of them being affectionate to one another. And one of the groups that I can like think of at the top of my head is a BAP. And so what happened was that there was this game that they were partaking in where each member had to use their mouth to pass a tissue from one group member to another. And a lot of people are like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not anything gay or anything. It's just a game. And a lot of K-pop fans are just really interested in shipping, K-pop idols together. For example, like in BTS, where you've got V and Jungkook, and they'll call them V Cook, and how they have like these really interesting, interactions with one another. And so some people are like, oh, perhaps maybe they, like each other romantically more than friends. So I don't know, Brittany, what you've got to say about that.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned BTS because very recently, I don't know if you saw this, it was on obviously on the news. So John Cook was seen with some other person, which was a guy, and the fandoms were going crazy because firstly they somebody took this video of him, and it was basically I'm not it's I think it's some South Korean
Okay.
act. I don't know if it was an actor or a musician,
Okay.
but it wasn't in the K-pop world basically, and they basically invaded John Cook's privacy, and it seemed like he was on a date, and the army, which is the fandom, the fans of BTS.
Yeah.
So basically, they like started like throwing harsh comments at this guy. It was so crazy that he said like, no, like you guys need to stop like shaming me and all of that. And it's so interesting because like when the army ships BTS with one of his members,
Yeah.
when they ship any one of the members together, it's fine because it's within that K-pop world, in the
And
K-pop bubble.
yeah, and they create like fanfics as well and different stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like this fantasy of V
And Jungkook.
and John Cook, which is fine, but as soon as it becomes a reality,
For example, if like Jungkook were to say, guys, I actually am gay.
okay, and I'm dating this guy, as soon as that actually with where he was, I'm not sure if it's real or what the case may be. But as soon as it was like out and it wasn't publicized, like it was private, the thing was
Yeah.
private. So as soon as it came out, people
And
were
that
like
you
going
might be actually
crazy.
gay. That
Yeah. So people were like going crazy, like how can he do this? What's going on? And they started like being just extremely rude to this person. And like people, like in my brain I was thinking, so what? Like you guys were fine.
Yeah.
With him shipping anybody, even somebody from a different group, it's
Yeah.
fine to ship him
And it's
with one
always
of the K-pop.
specifically like the K-pop girl fans
Yeah.
who most specifically love these ships, who most
Yeah.
specifically love to see two male idols supposedly having a romantic feeling for one another, but when immediately
it steps outside of the
that
K-pop
bubble, that fantasy.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, perhaps, well, all of a sudden, then it's something wrong, something that's looked down upon.
Yes.
I think perhaps maybe it's because the girls themselves want to be maybe Jungkook's girlfriend, for example. So they're like, because now obviously if Jungkook says I'm gay, then automatically they don't stand a chance. Basically.
Because now it's in the real world.
Yeah.
It's not in that K-pop bubble. It's in the real world, and so therefore, like in this bubble, they can create anything that they want to.
Yeah.
Because these K-pop companies kind of like sell the idea that these BTS members are their boyfriends.
Yeah.
And so like as soon as it becomes the reality, it becomes this huge problem. And it's just so problematic. And like
and I think also another reason why Korea is so anti-LGBTQIA plus is because obviously they're trying to create this homogeneous country, or rather they already are homogeneous and they want to keep it. And another thing is also reproduction, being able to create more Korean people. And obviously if you've got a same-sex couple, biologically speaking, they can't give each other a child through obviously sex, for example. So they have to maybe adopt, or whatever the case may be. But the fact that they are gay, or the fact that they are lesbian, they are breaking the norms, and they are breaking that ideal, Korean family setting, basically. That Korean ideal traditional, family setting. Yeah.
I think that also they want to remain homogeneous, and so they don't want, like, I feel like a lot of people have this, I'm not sure, I feel like some people have the idea that like being gay and lesbian and like all this different other things stems from like Western societies. So they want to keep the Asian society like as seen as like perfect, everybody as a family and all of that. And also because South Korea's birth rate has been declining now, and like they're one of the lowest birth rate.
And also, like we said in the other episode, we were basically saying Korea always tries to distinguish itself from other countries because it was colonized by Japan, I think.
Yes.
And so when you now have a group of idols who are now gay, or whatever the case may be, it's like now Korea is now stepping outside of its own culture, and it's kind of like now trying to be like another culture, or trying to be like another nation. And Korea always wants to not be that, basically. They always want to be different. So it means that they have to be different in all aspects of things. So not just look-wise, but like values, morals, tradition, culture, whatever the case may be. So speaking of sexuality, there's an artist. He's not a K-pop artist. So you have to understand there are different genres in Korea. There's K-pop, which is Korean pop. There's K-rock, K-R&B, K-contemporary, K-indie. And so K-pop is the mainstream. So K-pop is kind of, it's not the same as Hollywood, but in Korea it has the same sort of status as like Hollywood music. So it's mainstream. That's the most popular one. That's where most people want to be at. But there's other genres out there, and R&B is one of them. And I think Holland is from that category. R&B. And so he is one of the first artists in Korea to come out as gay. And he released a song, and in the song there's a scene where he's kissing, a guy. And a lot of, international fans were like, of K-pop rather, were very impressed by that. So what do you think about Holland and the whole situation that surfaced around him and his sexuality?
I think that, a company or the label that he was under really took a chance there. I think that they wanted to gain more international fans, or rather, I would say, take a chance at like seeing how the community in Korea would react to somebody openly.
So do you think now it was more for publicity, or more for a way of gaining more like view or clout for the company and for Holland, or were they genuinely trying to help Holland out?
At this point, I think
because there's no way Holland would be able to go into K-pop if
he was
if you are sorry, there's no way that anybody would take him
yeah, a company,
knowing
a
that
big
he's
big
gay.
company. I think that at that point, like feel like the company might have wanted to kind of, I think Holland personally, I think that he was gay and he wanted to make music, and so the company might have used that idea and then tried to get international fans
Fans.
on his back, like, and I feel like a lot of his following is international fans, because in South Korea obviously it's not accepted. You know, same-sex marriages is not accepted, and like I feel like being gay is obviously looked down upon, and it's like yeah,
It's a bad thing, basically.
it's a bad thing, yeah. So I think that with that, like the company, the label that he was under might have just used that for their own personal gain, and then Holland, being the artist that he is, wanted his
So
sexuality
it's
to
kind
play
of
a
a
part.
win-win situation for both.
Exactly. And but the last time he released that one video, and I
And
think
we never saw him again.
we never saw him again, and that has been like probably might have been like a year
Yeah.
and a half maybe ago.
Yeah.
And because I saw him appear on this channel called Hayat's Faye, and you can actually watch the video.
What
So
was he doing in the video? What was his
He-
purpose on
he's-
being on her channel?
he was the title of the video was almost like as if Faye, the YouTuber, was like on a date with him. So once again, like
Like like how does that work? Why was she on a date with him?
exactly
trying-
because he's gay, and like,
Right. Like it doesn't like it's like now she's also now.
exactly, and I felt like if it was so, then they could have put him on Edward Avala's
Right,
which is
right. It would
he's
make
also
more
a-
sense because
make
Edward,
more
if you guys don't
sense,
know,
exactly.
who he is a YouTuber.
YouTuber.
Where is he from?
I think
Originally?
from the Philippines.
So now he's a YouTuber in South Korea, and he does a lot of makeup, and he's obviously openly gay, and he experiments with makeup and a little bit of cross dressing, not exactly to 100%, but he does, and it would make more sense for him because obviously he's also a kind of a fan of K-pop,
Yeah.
and obviously he'd be more interested in talking about things like sexuality. So it would make sense for Holland to go to his YouTube channel rather than Hey It's Faye.
Hey, it's Faye, yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me it was just so interesting because I feel like maybe like that
But
video
also
got
Hayes Faye is in 1 million subscribers.
1 million, and
Whereas maybe David.
no, Edward Avila is also on the same
million.
par,
Oh, okay,
1
cool,
million
that's
and
cool.
odd. I think definitely they had said no go like there. Maybe like I felt like he could have gotten a lot of backlash in Korea for that video. The kissing, especially the kissing scene,
Yeah.
because people were
It's
like,
one
it's
thing to say you're gay,
cringeworthy.
it's another to actually show it
Out, yes. And so he took a big risk
by
by putting that video out there. And and for me I just felt like at that point like he did something he believed in, but like I
So-
felt like in the country that he was in
So
it
do you
didn't
think
work.
that when you went to Hayes Faye and now supposedly Hayes Faye's, or rather Faye's date, he was kind of sort of trying to now let this whole sexuality thing die down? Kind of like redeem himself by saying, okay, well, I was on a date with Faye type of thing.
I feel like honestly I did when I was watching the video. I was like okay, but aren't you gay though? Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so why are you
Why are
like
you on a-
supposedly on a date?
Date. Yeah. And
Like-
why are you stressing that it's a date? Why are you
Yeah.
stressing the fact that they're on a date together?
So for me it was just it was interesting to see. I felt like the company might have said like, oh, you guys, you're probably making he made a mistake, and now he's trying to, like you said, redeem himself in that way by kind of like easing into this popular YouTuber.
Right.
And like having her fans like kind of like follow him on social media
Right.
and all of that, and his channel obviously.
And the thing is, with being an artist in Korea, it's great to have international backing. But if you can't convince the main primary audience in Korea that you're an artist worthy enough of their attention, it's very difficult to be quite famous. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Like for example, BTS, they first obviously had to impress all the Koreans and whatnot before they went international to America. Then obviously they're a global
Sensation.
exactly. So if you want to make it in Korean industry in general, obviously you first have to impress the people in your own home country before you branch out. So now with Holland, it seems like now obviously it's trying to get the attention of international fans, but I mean nobody in Korea necessarily wants to work with him. So it's not gonna work out well unless he relocates to America or wherever, because obviously in America it's more open and you can include your sexuality within your music.
Yeah, I definitely think that they just, because obviously, like I said in the previous in the before, because being gay is seen as wrong in Korea, the company or the label just probably said like, no, let's just get out there and go with the international audience, like anyway, like. But I don't think I don't think that they focused enough on trying to get him attention in Korea. Obviously, like you would get a lot of hate, but like at least he's trying really
Yeah.
hard to put his music out there
Yeah.
regardless of his sexuality.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to now sexuality, we are not saying that there isn't anybody in K-pop who isn't part. I mean, who isn't part of the LGBTQIA plus community. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you can't blatantly, openly express the fact that you are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So there probably is people who are part of that community, but obviously because of the strict regulations within K-pop, they can't now voice it out. So there probably is, but because of the fact that we said in Brittany said in the other previous episodes, that you sign your life away, so everything gets controlled. The way you speak, the way you look, the way you sing, your love life, your sexuality, everything, the way you dance, everything gets controlled. So if you are gay or if you are lesbian, then it's something that you need to hide from the rest of, the audience or the fandom or the K-pop fandom, basically. So basically, let's move just a little bit to the appearance rather than the sexuality, because yeah, in terms of the appearance, even that could, in the Western world, men could be like, oh my goodness, that's gay. So looking at Jonghyun from 17, the K-pop group 17, 17 consists of 13 group members, and they are under the JYP label. So if you guys don't know who they are, you can always Google them as you are listening to us, and you will see the people. And Jonghyun specifically has, or previously had long hair. Had long hair, it was purple, sometimes it was silver. Like if you were to walk down the street, you would think that he was a woman. Like he literally looks like a woman, or he literally looks like a teenage girl. And that is why he was so popular. He was one of the popular group members. You've got Mingyu, who is supposedly the most attractive person in the group 17. However, the most popular one was Junghyun because of the way he looked. Because he looked ambiguous, or he looked like a woman, and people liked that, and it made them be more attracted to him more than, for example, Mingyu. So what do you think about him?
I think that obviously, like you said, like when I first saw him, I was like, wow, like he's the first K-pop guy that I see that has these really long hair. And I think that as long as it's in the bubble of K-pop, I'm sure if he had to come out and say like, no guys, like I grew my hair this long because I want to feel feminine and I'm actually gay, I think that it would have become a huge problem.
But yeah.
And it's so crazy to me, seeing this guy, and like he's wearing makeup, like you said, in the Western world, it would definitely
They
be
were like, wow, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
They would probably think that he is gay, but they wouldn't necessarily have a problem with it. In the K-pop world, they also don't have a problem with the way he looks. But the minute he steps out of the K-pop world and into Korea, which it's a problem. So we have to distinguish between K-pop world and Korea.
I think even so, more so, if you had to walk outside, like as a normal person, and
In Korea
in Korea on the streets of Seoul or wherever they go, and you actually wearing like makeup and things, people would be
Look
like,
at you like you. What is going
what's
on?
going
Why
on?
do you look that way?
It's fine if it's on the TV, and fine
and
if
we
you,
know that it's pretend inverted commas pretend.
yes, then it's fine, but like,
If you think that you're gonna
in
go out in
reality,
society, in the Korean society, dressed like that, people will look like they'll think you're crazy. And an example of this is when I was watching an episode of Hello Counselor, and this woman was depressed and this woman was stressed and was anxious because her son wasn't getting a job. And the reason why her son wasn't getting a job is because he had long hair just like him, like Jung Hyun. But the difference is the son wasn't wearing makeup. He just dressed like any other hyper masculine male. He just had long hair, and he wouldn't get a job in Korea because of his long hair. Because people are like, no, you look like a girl, even though he literally doesn't look like a girl. He just looks like a man with long hair. So you can see the difference. Just because K-pop is in Korea and it's called Korean pop does not mean that it represents the Korean society.
yeah,
It represents a fantasy, basically. And that's why people don't understand. And that's why you have a lot of international fans who are like, oh my goodness, I love K-pop. I want to go live in Korea.
thinking that when they get there, this is what Koreans
Exactly.
look like, this is what Koreans do.
This is how they act. They're going to be accepting of me. I'm going to be great. I'm going to be friends with everyone. You get there and you get a shock of your life.
A lot of
And the people don't even look like what is on TV anyway.
A lot of YouTubers actually, like, when they get to when they got to Korea, they were like, oh, it's such a culture shock, because watching these videos, they're like, oh, like, everybody's like, I feel like these K-pop artists like create, like I said before, create these the K-pop world creates like an image, and like everything is like, ah, and so therefore it's like, it's just like, it's the place that you want to be, and so therefore it's like perfect, you're the perfect friends, everything is perfect,
And also
you look perfect,
right. And K-pop is very smart by doing that, because even in our previous our one of our previous episodes, we said it doesn't bring a disclaimer of what you look like in terms of auditioning. So basically it doesn't say you have to be Asian. Anyone basically can go, but obviously we know they're going to take an Asian person. But K-pop is very strategic in the sense that it makes you believe that it's really open to all sorts of sexualities. It makes you believe that it's open to certain races because of now the auditioning and the criteria of the fact that basically if you just have talent you can go, even though we know that's not true. So it reels you in as a fan, and you think, wow, okay, it's really open, let me go to Korea and whatnot. But that's not the case. It's really not the case. And the companies, they themselves the companies are run by Korean people.
yeah.
So they don't necessarily agree with what they're actually advertising.
Yeah, I find it so funny that they BTS members are dressed in like, let me give a more recent example. Kai from EXO is like, he had this top on that could be
Crop
considered
top.
a crop top,
top.
yes, that could be
And I was wearing
considered
like a, what do you call that?
suspensor.
Yeah,
I think
so now obviously you can see the stomach with the crop top
and the belly button is visible. And for me, it was so strange, because if you had to walk on the streets, like you had to walk on the streets in any country like that, people would assume that no, but this person is gay. Because of the way he's dressing, and people actually like that outfit. People in South Korea like that outfit so much. They were like, oh my word, like they love it so much, like
so
he looks sexy. But if he had to walk outside like that in Korea, men and women will turn around and be like, no, I'm sorry, like, calm down.
Yeah,
this is not it. Yeah.
So with K-pop, there's always the issue of identity. So it's always like it's always about trying to navigate yourself within both the Korean space and both the K-pop space. So the minute you get into the building, you are now Kai, basically EXO's Kai. The minute you get out, you are Jongin, basically, which is his real name. Jongin, basically you are him now. So you're no longer the guy that wears crop tops. You now need to perform your ascribed gender role from birth, basically.
Yeah.
It's only in K-pop world, in the K-pop company, in the videos that you can like quote unquote experiment with in terms of gender, in terms of sexuality.
Yeah, no, definitely I agree.
Yeah. And also there's been a recent, now this is also not to say that there aren't any people who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community within the Korean society. But what's interesting is that there's been like revelations of the fact that some of the executives in these K-pop companies, men specifically, are sexually abusing um, male K-pop idols, because obviously now they can't um, partake in such in sexual acts with men outside of the K-pop space, like, or outside of the companies, because obviously they're going to be seen and they're going to be judged, so they do it in secret, and obviously the sexual abuse is obviously wrong. But my point is that they express their sexuality by infringing on other people's um, um, rights to live, or rights to not being abused, basically.
I think with the with the men, because Korea is trying to create these high men in these executive positions. I think because these men have their own family at home, and like because they were like, it's stated like in Korea, like you have to have this perfect family, and like people, society judges you. So if maybe they were gay since they were young, they anyway got married to a woman, anyway had children,
Yeah.
because that is how it's supposed to be according to certain society standards. And then when they actually see these young boys, it like maybe it brings back those fantasies, fetishes, of them actually wanting to be with a guy. And at the end of the day, within the K-pop bubble, these poor young guys are being sexually abused. There was actually a group, and they posted on Instagram that they need help, like anybody must help them, because um like they've been sexually abused. And it wasn't a very popular group, but I'm not sure if anybody reached out to them. But it was so sad to see that, because of society standards, these older men that were actually gay when they were younger, probably, or wanted to
Oh, and are
experience,
still gay.
yeah, um they couldn't live out their lives and like be gay. And now this is the result of, the
Yeah.
younger boys are being abused.
We're not saying that these men can't be themselves in terms of they can't be gay. That's their own thing. But it doesn't mean now that you have to go and abuse someone in order to now try and find yourself, or try to find yourself within a certain space, or try to find yourself within a society. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so what message would you have to say for anyone who wants to perhaps be a K-pop idol but is part of the LGBTQI plus community?
I think firstly, I think that like prepare to be basically prepare to not live out your life the way you want to. Be prepared to go on these TV interviews, and be prepared to lie.
Be prepared to be asked who's your ideal type in terms of the girl groups.
Yes.
Even though you don't like girls, for example, if you're a male idol.
Yeah, be prepared for that. And basically be prepared to change your complete identity. You're not gonna be yourself there though. Like they're gonna tell you like you are the visual, you are the main dancer, you are whatever the case may be. And so would you really want to be in a world
Where you live
where
a lie.
where you're living a lie and you're not your true self?
Self.
So it's really up to you. If you're prepared to do that, then best of luck. But if not, like for me personally, I wouldn't recommend it.
Going. It's
Yeah,
like health wise, it's not healthy for you.
yeah,
It will do something to you mentally. So basically, we can both agree that K-pop is, I don't want to say an illusion, but it is a fantasy, and so it isn't as open to sexualities, different sexualities, and different genders as it seems.
yeah,
So when a lot of these K-pop fans around the world say, "Wow, K-pop is very open," it really isn't.
yeah.
It really isn't. It's just,
If you look closely.
yeah, it really isn't. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us again. Tomorrow is the last day that Brittany will be with us. and we'll be talking about another topic. And we hope that you guys had a great time. And if this is your first time listening to us, we've got 3 other episodes that we did on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So you guys can go check those out. They're also on different issues within K-pop, and we just bring a different perspective on these issues because, like I said in the first episode, that a lot of discourses are happening within American K-pop fandoms online, and it seems like they're speaking for everyone. But we bring a different perspective from fans who are from a non-first world country, so a country like South Africa, basically. We're not claiming to represent all the African K-pop fans, but we just bringing a different perspective. So we'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Bye.